Who are you with? Oh, okay. Good. Can I get a picture? I would love one. Can I get on that side? This is my side. Thank you. Got it, buddy? Yep. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, he's amazing. Thank you. That's okay.
Actually, I don't know. Where's the place to get these towels? We went all the way to 7th grade. Thank you. I would live in it could be stress related, it could be just so many things. Right. I think he's a gluten-free diet. I have because I realized, yeah, when once little close.
All right. All right. So,
You can get Pfizer in the background.
okay, you just pointed out, and I don't know if this was I don't think this was obvious before. We are in front of the Pfizer building in New York City, and we're here for a rally for RFK Jr. Would you like to talk about why you came out to this rally?
Sure. So I'm out here.
Hold it if you like.
Do you want me to set it on, or is
You can just
okay.
hold it or
Just hold
something,
it?
whatever
Okay.
you like. Yeah.
I came out for health freedom. I'm the mother of a vaccine injured son, and I think that a lot of the information that we've been given and that we've trusted over the years, we haven't received the full truth until now. And we've got somebody finally who is brave enough and courageous enough, who's going to stand up for families and listen to parents who have known for a very long time that something is not right with the childhood vaccine schedule and all of these other vaccines that have been pushed on us to even so your child can go to school. So my son was kicked out of school, and I'm willing to do that because I'm not gonna just take the advice of people that are being paid by the pharmaceutical companies to push things. We know this now. The truth is finally coming out, and I just want to do whatever I can to support RFK Jr. He's under tremendous pressure, and but he's willing to stand up, and I'm just grateful to be living in a time like now and to finally be able to see what the truth is, and I just am looking forward to more truth and transparency and honesty. And there's a lot of us out here because we're awake now. We know what the truth is about a lot of these shots that are being forced on especially our young people. Yeah.
Are there particular things that he's done so far that you're happy with, and is there things on your list that you would like to see him do in the future?
So it's just so far it's been such a breath of fresh air what we're seeing coming from Health and Human Services. I was thrilled that he replaced the corrupt members of ACIP. We need to get independent people there that are willing to really talk about studies that are out there that are from people that are not being paid by the pharmaceutical industry. It's just a fact. And the information is out there now finally. So I actually listen now to the ACIP meetings, and just so I can really understand more. I'm trying to educate myself more, and I think that opportunity is out there because the information is not being suppressed or buried like it has been. I think that also he has made it clear that he's listening to families, listening to parents. There's so many parents out there that have seen their children. In the case of my son, after his childhood vaccinations, his body exploded with autoimmune diseases. All of his hair fell out. He developed arthritis. He developed inflammation in his eyes. And the childhood that he was supposed to have has been taken from him. He's still being treated for arthritis. He has to get infusions. He doesn't have a normal childhood. And there's so many families, autism families, and they have these normal kids, and they take these shots. They're listening blindly to their doctors, and all of a sudden, these terrible things start happening to their children. Disease, autism, arthritis, autoimmune diseases. And, I wish that I had had this information when my son was younger, because I would have made a very, very different choice. I just didn't realize. And I think there's a lot of families like mine where we're understanding now what's really happening. And I'm just grateful for that. I'm so thankful for RFK Jr.
Are there any specific things that you'd like to see him do in the future?
I want, there should be no mandated shots of any kind to participate in society. I want the childhood vaccine schedule to be deleted, and it should just be up to the families and their doctors what is in the best interest. But ultimately, it's up to the parents, because when that child is hurt, when that child is injured, it's actually a huge blow to the family. It's a heartbreak that I can't even really articulate how it just rewires that child's life to be in all of these doctor's appointments and medical interventions. They don't have a normal life anymore, and that's taken from us. And so, yeah, I don't think there should be. New York is one of 4 states that does not have a religious exemption or a conscientious objection to vaccines, and that is the next thing I hope RFK Jr. will take on. I know he will.
So there are a couple things that I hear as common responses to some of the things that you're saying from people who have an opposing view. One of them is that the adverse effects that you were talking about, that you observed in your own child, are coincidental, basically, that they can't be attributed to vaccination, and that it's just a correlation, something that happened at the same time. What are your thoughts about that point of view?
The fact is that I think our society has gotten used to just thinking that things just appear, but the fact is there's a root cause, and we are not looking at root causes. And I reject that, because my experience and the experience of many other parents has been a very clear cause and effect. The child gets shots, and then something catastrophic happens in their health. So that is the reality. But for too long, the voices and of these parents have been suppressed and ignored and gaslighted, and you're crazy, and all these parents say this, and you just know in your heart of hearts. And in so many other ways, there is something to a mother's instinct. And the other thing is, in terms of going to schools, and no one else thinks twice about my child can't have peanuts, has an allergy for that, and the school will turn themselves inside out to try to accommodate that family. But then you suggest that there might be a problem with injecting many times a young child with all of these ingredients, including DNA debris, along with all of these chemicals that we know are poisonous to the body in every other situation. But for some reason, we're supposed to believe that when they're in a vial given by a doctor, then they're going to be fine. It doesn't make sense. And I think that this is the other thing. Like, we've been told things, and we've been just expected to believe these ridiculous lies that we're hearing. This the same sort of, and they talk over it. I've had this experience where I'm trying to talk to my son's doctors now more, and you just get into this kind of morass of words and medical lingo, but you're not. It's actually not. I don't think it's as complicated as we've been made to believe that it is.
So the other major thing that I hear from the opposing viewpoint is, of course, that people say, well, if we get rid of all the mandates for children, especially in school, then we'll see a resurgence of really dangerous childhood diseases, right? Like measles, mumps, rubella, polio, all of these things. So what do you think about those concerns?
Well, I think, given that we have the most chronically sick population out of any first world country, I think it's time to try something new. Also, I'm old enough to remember watching the Brady Bunch back in like the 70s, and there was an episode where one of the kids gets the measles. And what does it mean? It means like, a week off from school. And there are ways to treat children and to treat fevers and disease and these other things that don't necessarily mean taking a pharmaceutical. A lot of that has been forgotten, and I think a lot of it is part of the pressure to always turn to a drug like Tylenol, for instance, if your child has a fever. But I just don't know how that just doesn't hold water anymore, given the state of how chronically ill our children are, especially in the United States of America, where we have some of the heaviest vaccine requirements or suggestions or mandates, depending on what state you're in, than anywhere else in the world. So I'm not, and the other thing is, for those of you who believe in the effectiveness of vaccines, there's nothing stopping anyone from getting one. So you can do that, and the understanding is, if you're vaccinated, then you're safe. So that's what you people should have that freedom to choose.
Okay, as a final question, let me ask you, what have I not asked you about that you would really like people to know about MAHA, the Make America Healthy Again movement, and the people like you who are part of that movement and support it?
I mean, I guess I'm not sure what I haven't said already. I guess I would just encourage people to start looking at other places for information. There is a correlation between the explosion of childhood disease and the number of vaccines that are now being recommended or required from the CDC. It's just a fact. We are now also finding out some of the things about the people that worked for the FDA and the CDC and the NIH and some of the it's this. I just don't think that for a long time they really have been about public health. And I think also people are forgetting that this is America, and it's not about it's about individual rights, and that's ultimately what we're talking about here. It's not about, it's the collective versus the individual rights, and we need to remember that in America, that's what that's part of, when I was growing up, what it meant to be American is to be able to make your own decisions, and you certainly should be able to make the decisions about what is being injected into your own body. So I don't know. I really struggle sometimes understanding how anyone cannot understand that, because it's really just a lot of common sense in my view. And if you really take a look at what is happening around our country with regard to chronic disease.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For talking with
You're
me.
welcome.
Can you just put your chin up a little bit so I get your hat or just tilt your hat?
That better?
Thank you.
We got almost 100 people here. Thank you so much for coming out. Most of you know the chant that we were doing. We're going to do it one more time. Kevin, can you get it going for us to start? Let's do it. RFK, all the way, all the way, RFK. We're gonna make it a brand new day. RFK, all the way, all the way, RFK. We're gonna make it a brand new day. RFK, all the way, all the way, RFK. We're gonna make it a brand new day. RFK, all the way, all the way, RFK. We're gonna make it a brand new day. RFK, all the way, all the way, RFK. We're gonna make it a brand new day. RFK, all the way, all the way, all the way, RFK. We gotta make it a brand new day. RFK, all the way, all the way, RFK. We gotta make it a brand new day. RFK, all the way, all the way, RFK. Make some noise if you love Bobby Kennedy. So if you don't know that, that's why we're here. Pfizer headquarters is right here, 66 Hudson Boulevard East. There's actually a sign on the side over there. In just a little bit, we're going to walk to that sign, do a big photo of us right by Pfizer.
Very good.
We're here today to say thank you, RFK. Why are 76% of Americans suffering from a chronic illness? Democrats and Republicans have ignored this for 40 years. For 40 years, America has become the unhealthiest country in the world. Why? Why is nobody asking? Why are people saying make America healthy again is political? It is not political. Having a healthy country, having healthy children is not political. Thank you, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., for having the courage to ask these questions. Give it up for Bobby Kennedy. Thank you. Let's do the thank you chant. Yeah, start it off.
Thank you. Thank you, RFK.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna make it
A brand new day.
Come on.
Thank you. Thank you, RFK. We're going to make it a brand new day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, RFK. We're going to make it a brand new day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, RFK. We're going to make it a brand new day. Thank you. Thank you, RFK. We're going to make it a brand new day. Thank you. Thank you, RFK. We're going to make it a brand new day. Thank you. Thank you, RFK. We're going to make it a brand new day. Everybody say thank you. Thank you, RFK. We're going to make it a brand new day. Thank you. Thank you, RFK. We're going to make it a brand new day. Make some noise for Bobby Kennedy. Two things. One, help yourself to the merch up here. It's no cost. Whatever you want to take, please take it. There's t-shirts, there's hats, all praising Bobby Kennedy for various things. There's Make America Healthy Again stickers. Second, the photos you take of this rally, post them on social media. Hashtag thank you RFK. Hashtag thank you RFK. And tag Children's Health Defense, especially on X, especially on Twitter. We have over 30 rallies happening across the country. We're going to be having these photos going up. It's really important that we flood this out here. Last thing, let's cross the street now that way and take a big photo in front of Pfizer. There's a Pfizer sign right over there. Let's go walk over there and take one last group photo, okay? Let's do that. And take swag, take swag, take swag, take the stuff.
But I am enjoying it.
I mean, I tutor. No, I tutor.
Thanks for covering. Thanks for covering.
What's happening? Is it
One, but we really didn't.
One more. Y yo creo que de latina. Yo creo que de latina. ¿Tú no eres?
No, I'm probably am.
Everybody thinks I'm
No,
black.
they think I'm Dominican. No.
Thank you very much.
that goes to show
I
you?
like that. No big tree, yeah.
Like,
That's what I said all the time.
Awesome. I appreciate it. I got worried we were here at like 11:30. We have one song. I was like, no, people are going to come through. I know they are. But you never know. I mean, before it happens, for all you know, like,
Like the green ones out here.
okay, guys, we're going to cross the street. We're going to cross the street. We're going to walk about 200 feet. The Pfizer sign is on this building, and we'll do the photo next to Pfizer. Go this way. We're gonna go this way. Oh, yeah, please go. All right, so we're coming this way for the Pfizer photo. We're coming this way for the Pfizer photo. Thank you, officer. There's a good chance this might be for us. Oh, always, always. We've been doing this a long time. We love you guys. We love security. We love NYPD for sure. Yes, we did. I don't know why or what the process was, but Hudson Yards is like incorporated. It's like they want the capital of the world. Everybody's kind of coming over since COVID. I guess the. There it is. That's the side you got. Oh no, there we go. If we get it right, we got a little guy over here, but we got a big guy over here that's been going. We just saw a big Pfizer. We get the right timing on it. So there's a little one this way. Let's come over here. Let's come over here. Try and do it here. Come on over here. Eventually, a big Pfizer sign comes there.
There's also that sign.
There is.
Wait, gather.
You should probably get behind this window so we can get a better shot.
We're okay. The photos, Amy, that's where photographers should be. Because when the Pfizer sign comes, you should get it really good. All right, guys, come this way. Hey, photographers should be over there. We should face this way. Pfizer sign comes.
I'm not sure what he said.
Let's see what people get.
Wait, more people coming.
Get in there.
You want to help? You need help? Yeah. Let me help. Oh, I don't want to get.
Thank you.
There's the logo. Go for it. Get those photos. Get those photos.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Bobby. We love you. RFK. We love you, RFK. 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 Yeah.
you, Bobby. Thank you. Here's your thanks to Bobby. I'll send it to him.
Thank you, Bobby. No, this is my dear friend, and this is her son, Dusty. Carla.
Thank you so much.
Bobby, 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 Bobby.
Everybody in? Yes. Yay! Thank you.
If we get relief in a year or two, that's quick. So we, but CHD Children's Health Defense is dedicated to staying with the litigation for fired workers for as long as they can. I know I'm in the conversations where there's a bunch of backup cases coming.
You thought the thing would be simple. We're crazy. We're talking.
So, like, not people. You see that, and then you're trying to go to the Supreme Court. That has an impact. So, the new administration helps us, especially for the Supreme Court. In New York State, maybe it hurts us for state cases. For the federal cases, it helps us. The mood has shifted drastically in our direction. Drastically. So I'm optimistic. It's just, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. I don't know what it will be. Who knows in 10 years my attorney might be like, were you fired?
Got it. All right.
Yeah, great.
Take this.
Oh yeah. Should I clip it or just hold it or?
Whatever you want.
I know. I think it's gonna. I think in like another 20 minutes, I think it's gonna wrap up. Should I just hold it?
Once again, Mike, thanks a lot for everything.
Thanks so much for being. Is that okay like that or? Thank you. I knew it.
All right, I'm here with Michael Kane. We are in front of the Pfizer headquarters.
International headquarters. Yes, it
Pfizer
is.
International headquarters in New York City. We just came from the rally for RFK Jr. You were leading that rally. Tell everybody, first of all, for people who don't know you, I think some people watching will know you well, but for people who don't know you, tell us about yourself and tell us about this event.
Yeah, my name's Michael Kane. I was a New York City special education teacher for 14 years. I was fired for not getting the COVID shot. and that led to me leading a group called Teachers for Choice, also leading rallies, lawsuits all across New York State. We have a case right now, Kane versus de Blasio, that's filing for a cert petition at the Supreme Court. We'll see if it gets accepted. But also currently, I'm the director of advocacy at Children's Health Defense. That's the organization founded by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And just a couple of weeks ago, we saw Bobby Kennedy's under attack. Secretary Kennedy, heading Health and Human Services, is under attack from Democrats, from Republicans. It's coming from multiple directions. And it was actually Greg Glazier, who heads Physicians for Informed Consent, who started a campaign that CHD picked up called Thank You RFK. Hashtag Thank You RFK. So that started a couple of weeks ago. And then we realized the attacks were just building up. And we said, we got to get in the streets, say Thank You RFK en masse. So we have over 30 cities across the country right now that are out just like us here with signs, with literature to hand out, educating people, and just saying thank you to the Secretary of Health and Human Services for sticking up for the health of Americans, for sticking up for the health of children. Over the past 40 years, we've seen the health of America completely decimated and declined. And these Democrats and Republicans have the nerve to attack Bobby Kennedy for saying we need to do something different, while they oversaw the demise of the greatest nation in the world. So it personally offends me. And a lot of us as well, too. So we want to make sure that New York and the country and the world knows we support Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So we came out here to say thank you, RFK. And it was a great event. About 100 people came out at the peak. Kevin Nathaniel and the Spirit Drummers are here. That's one of the things that makes the New York City rally so unique, is that we sing, we get some rhythms going. It's always great to have Kevin out. And we had a good time and took some photos right in front of Pfizer's headquarters here with a bunch of us. So we educated some people. We showed our support. We had some fun.
Give me the greatest tips for you in terms of what RFK Jr. has done so far that you were hoping to see. What are the most important accomplishments that you see him having made at this point?
He fired every single member of ACIP. That is the committee that makes recommendations for the CDC vaccine schedule that then basically get picked up throughout the entire nation. He put people on that are willing to question the dogma of the vaccine schedule. The vaccine schedule is essentially like a piece of religious doctrine to most people. And Bobby was saying, no, we're going to bring scientists and doctors who might support it, might not, but we're going to debate. We're going to look at data and we're going to find out. One of the things they did is the MMRV shot now cannot be given to anyone under 4 years old. That's measles, mumps, rubella, varicella, chickenpox. That shot, there is data that shows massive adverse events that happen after receiving it. They are now talking about breaking up the MMR so you can get it in single doses. It doesn't exist now. You can only get a triple shot, measles, mumps, rubella, in one shot right now. They used to sell it as a single dose decades ago, and they ended that for financial reasons, not health reasons. And there's an ongoing dialogue now about ending the Hep B shot on day one of birth. Hep B is a sexually transmitted disease. Day one old babies do not need that vaccine. And the fact that they haven't had this conversation yet is actually horrific. So some of these things are just common sense, right? I know there's a lot of people in our movement saying he hasn't done enough. Well, we need to start at a certain point. People have said to me, why doesn't he just end all vaccines? Why doesn't he just end all mandates? He will lose his job right away. The Republicans will not support that. They will not support Donald Trump. That's not how politics works and how change happens. So while some of it feels slow to some in our movement, I am really excited that he has already done some very important things and has made clear what his focus is going to be and what type of changes we could see coming. And I'm extremely excited about all of it.
And what about the future? What's on your list of things that you would like to see him accomplish next?
He put out a memo first to West Virginia, then to the entire country, saying if you don't have a religious exemption of vaccination in your state, you might be in violation of the law. That's important because we also see legislation in Congress to bring the religious exemption back to all 50 states. And we also see a lawsuit, Miller v. McDonald, that 22 attorneys general just signed on to. That's about an Amish school in New York being fined every day because they refuse to have vaccine mandates. It's a private school on private property with all Amish students. When you have 22 attorneys general sign on to something that gets noticed, I think that's going to get picked up in the Supreme Court. I hope HHS and Bobby Kennedy can help move that along. They could pick up litigation through their Office of Civil Rights. They've signaled that they're going to do that because I think it's so important that we have choice. A lot of people love vaccines. Hundreds of millions of people love them. That's fine. You should be able to get them. But for those who don't, for those who have sincerely held religious beliefs, as I do, I got fired for my religious exemption to the COVID shot. We need options and we need choice. Medical mandates are just wrong on all levels. Recently, Surgeon General Joe Latipo in Florida compared vaccine mandates to slavery. And as an African-American man, that was really powerful to hear him say that. If you don't have sovereignty over your body, you are effectively a slave. So that's one of the number one things that I hope is coming, not only from Bobby Kennedy, but from a national conversation too that I see developing. And I see that it is definitely changing. The idea of choice is not as sacrilege as it was just a few years ago.
Let me ask you about the major concern that is voiced by the opposition
Sure.
to the position that you're taking. The major concern that I hear is that people say, well, if we get rid of all of the vaccine mandates, especially for children, we'll have a resurgence of all of these dangerous diseases, measles, mumps, rubella, polio. What do you think about that concern?
I think that is a campaign of fear to make people think that chickenpox is a horrendous thing for us to have to experience as a society. Measles does have some risk to it. That is certainly true. If it's so important, why can't you get the measles shot alone? Because mumps and rubella is nowhere near as big of a problem or a concern in all of the rhetoric you hear from the other side than measles. If they are so concerned about that, why can't you get a single dose shot of measles? They're not concerned about it. They're concerned about profits. That's what it really is. And then they're able to drive fear campaigns to get people to really be scared to think, oh my God, if my kid gets measles, I'm not going to be able to take care of them. First off, if your shot works, you don't have anything to worry about. If you got your kid vaccinated, you truly shouldn't have anything to worry about if it works. Second of all, measles is treatable. It's been true. My parents had measles. Their parents had measles. Everybody that we know, people around here raising their hands right now, had measles. It is not as severe and deadly of an illness as they want to make you think. They did it with COVID. They infected our minds to make us so afraid that we would take an experimental shot that nobody knew what would happen to it. How did that work out? I do believe people should have the right to choose if they get a vaccine or if they don't get a vaccine. But if you want to argue to me that measles is so deadly and it's such a huge problem, why are you forcing other products on top of that? Why aren't you giving choice if you really are truly afraid of this infection spreading? So I view it much.
What about polio? I think everyone agrees that that's a very severe disease.
I would really advise people to listen to Suzanne Humphreys and everything that she has put forth on polio. She is an MD who a few decades ago decided to investigate vaccination, and she feels that the polio story that we have been told is rampant with misinformation. She sees a number of things, including environmental toxins and chemicals and DDT that were also right next to the worst polio outbreaks that we saw. She also talks about gain of function research that happened during that time with the polio strand that then led to the worst polio outbreaks. So I am not an expert on that, and I would defer to people who are an expert on that. One last thing I would say about that is that the only known real rampant cause of polio today is the oral polio vaccine that is still given in the third world. So if they're so concerned about that, why haven't they phased that out? Why haven't they found ways to use that shot's banned in America, but they're still using it in other parts of the world that are leading to polio infections? So again, to me, it looks like they want to keep this narrative of fear over people and not really look at the hard questions. Our side of things, listen, and we got some crazy people on our side, as does the other side. There's extremists everywhere, but the on our side of things, the rational people are willing to have these debates and talk openly and honestly, and come up with rational solutions that can respect public health and choice, because you can do that. But the extremists want to act like, no, once there's choice, we're dead. We can't live as a society. That's false. That's a false narrative that they're putting forth that is pushed and funded by Big Pharma.
All right. I just want to ask you one more question because I hear your voice. You've been speaking and leading the crowd. But let me just ask you about the grassroots MAHA movement, because that's something that you're part of, you're very in touch with, and it is really the Make America Healthy Again movement is really a grassroots movement. So what are you hearing from the grassroots?
Yeah, no, that's great.
How they feel about the moment that we're at?
So I would say a month or two ago, it was a very divided community. There was a big section of our community that said, Bobby's not doing enough. RFK, as Secretary of Health and Human Services, isn't doing enough. He's selling us out. He's, whatever things people were saying. But then he fired Susan Minares in the CDC. And that was a real unifying moment. I never liked Susan Minares as CDC pick. She was a compromise pick. Remember, he wanted Dave Weldon. Dave Weldon was a former Republican congressman and an MD who has challenged the CDC on the floor of Congress for decades. They couldn't even get a vote on Dave Weldon because the Republicans signaled, we're not voting for him. So 1 hour before, maybe even 15 minutes before Dave Weldon was set for a Senate confirmation hearing, Trump pulled the plug on it. They settled on Minares. She was the acting director. She was a compromise candidate. Bobby spent 5 weeks trying to compromise with her and figure things out and realized this is impossible. She is not following Trump and Bobby Kennedy's Make America Healthy Again agenda. And he fired her. And it was a firestorm. But what that did was it made people who were doubting Bobby said, oh, he does have a backbone. He is standing up to this establishment. And we saw people like a friend of mine, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, who was throwing a lot of shade at Bobby, tweeted out, got millions of views saying, I stand with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So that was a real important moment where, and we still have our differences. There's people want the COVID shots gone, especially Mary Bowden, Naomi Wolf, and others. And I respect their position. We're seeing an incremental move towards that. We're seeing that move to shared decision-making. Then at the next ACIP committee, they all voted to not recommend the shot anymore. Then you see these Democrat state syndicates that are coming out with their own recommendations to get the COVID shot anyway. This is a war, right? This is a real war that's going over what's going to happen on public health. But the firing of Minares was a watershed moment that I don't think we would have had as many people here today, to tell you the truth, had that not happened. And I'm seeing people who were concerned Bobby had sold out, they're realizing, oh, maybe that's not the case. Maybe he's playing a game of chess that I didn't really know. So that's very positive to see. And as you know, Amy, there's things Bobby Kennedy and HHS want to do. I stand against the data grab that's happening in regards to our health data. I'm very concerned about that. And we need to pay attention to that because there's bipartisan support for that one. But overall, I think there's a real rallying around Bobby that his core mission of ending chronic disease and addressing what is really causing this problem, he hasn't wavered on that.
Michael Caine, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Amy.
Michael, you're going to cut us. This is a crazy.
It was.
No place like
It was that whole time.
Hi, who are you with?
So I'm live on
I want to things.
Right.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Good? Yeah. Hi, I'm Dr. Maureen Moore. I'm a chiropractor and nutritionist. I am so grateful that Bobby Kennedy is doing what he does. So, shining a light on something that should have happened years ago. I also thank him on a personal note because I used to kayak in the Hudson River off of Inwood, and I got very sick. I was in ICU in the Kobe Hospital. He cleaned up the river, so another personal thank you.
As part of River Keepers.
Yes, 100%. So, you know what I mean? I'm grateful on a lot of levels. But right now, today is about looking at what vaccines are doing, what the big pharma is doing, and no one has had the strength to go against them until Bobby and, you know, total regard to his dad. Rest in peace. Thank you. Yeah.
Have you been? Did you vote for him? Were you an original RFK Jr. supporter during the elections? Or, how long have you been part of the movement?
Oh, part of the whole vaccine thing forever. Yeah, like I've never been. I'm not vaccinated, and I'm proud of that. But I make it clear to everybody, anybody, you know, who knew me. I told them I'm not. You know, if you want me to wear a mask, I will. But it's not. I'm. You know, I don't know. I don't want to be unscientific, but I'm like, why put it in your body? You know, if you can defend yourself more naturally, you know. So, you know, it was tough. It was a tough undergoing. It's not judging anybody who did or didn't. Nobody knew, but it went against, you know. So I'm just grateful that finally the light's being put on and we're looking to protect our children.
Let me ask you because you have seen a lot of things over the years to do with vaccines and the illnesses that they are meant to address. So this is one thing that I've asked a couple people. How do you respond to what I think is the major critique from the other point of view on this, the other side of this argument, which is that if you get rid of mandates, not just for the COVID vaccine, but especially for childhood diseases, if you get rid of the vaccine mandates for schools, then we'll see a resurgence of diseases. And you probably have seen those diseases before, when they were prevalent. Diseases like polio and measles, and then you've also seen the development of the vaccine schedule and all that. So what are your thoughts about the two sides of this argument and what you make of all of that?
There are two sides. There definitely are two sides. And I don't argue that it should be based on science, but I don't know if there's time for this, but I remember going cross country, like back a long time ago, and you see like a row. We did stop, myself and girlfriend stopped at a cemetery, and you see a row of, terrible, like 5 and 6 year olds, and then like for 1 year, and then nothing. It was like a pandemic that the body, like with COVID, the virus does not benefit from a dead host. So it mutates, become more contagious and less lethal. Thank God. So, you have to look what would have happened, like how many people got the bad side of things, and how many people would have been okay if they, nobody knows. And then you go into it, like, and they say that, everybody does. Like that year, like nobody died of the flu, nobody died of things that unfortunately humans do die of. So we don't know. But I think putting a light on the whole situation is so called for. And he's doing that. He's making everybody stop and look. And, the studies shouldn't just be financed by Big Pharma, right? They should be financed by, if we can find a group that is objective.
Right. So you have confidence in this new group not being corrupt, not being corrupted by the pharmaceutical industry.
Hopeful. Hopeful. I'm not. Yeah. I think he will do his best to do that, but I don't know. You go back tons of years ago, the cartel. Like, I don't know, right? And not to be, crazy or like get science, but objective science, not just science you want to hear the answer from, right? So, yeah. So thank you for being here and for covering.
Yeah. Thanks for talking.
I know.
I gotta take my
Oh, I'm sorry. In Ireland, it's saying PG, please guys.
And I'm so happy to be here with you. Yes.
Right, no, it was, I agree with you. Waste. Nice to see you. And it doesn't work.
So we're here.
It's
My
insurance right now.
Well, we're here at Pfizer today to say thank you to RFK Jr. I can't believe he is where he is, and I know a lot of people are kind of losing patience, saying, "Hey, we need to see more change." And I get it, but we're in a new. I don't even know how to express how. Because I only really got into the health movement recently, myself, in the past, 7 years. Carnivore diet saved my life. I've learned about ketogenic diets. I've studied. I've been studying fitness and health and nutrition and learning so much. And the things I used to obsess about by myself, now everyone's talking about these things, like avoiding too much sugar or seed oils or things like that were never in the general discussion, and now RFK Jr. is actually getting us to talk about these things. So, and we're questioning the vaccine schedule, which is something that my mom did, rest her soul. She passed away a few years ago, but I know that she avoided jabbing me up when I was a baby, and I'm grateful to this day for that, of course. And just excited to see Americans truly get healthy again, or healthier, because we're being attacked on every level, starting at our bodies, but not just that, our spirits, our energy, our emotions. Everything is being attacked, mentally, physically, and energetically. And I think that we're about to see a huge change, and it's starting. It's like steering a huge ship. Some of the changes take a lot of time to kick in, but it's all there. It's all happening. And like Alex Jones says, he gets a lot of things right too. So, yeah, just excited to see what happens next.
Are there any big things that you're hoping to see happen next with the administration?
When I think about politics too much, I start to get black-pilled. But I think that I'd like to see just more. I feel like they're incrementally taking steps toward everything from maybe eliminating the vaccine schedule altogether. I hope maybe is their aspiration, but another is ending the income tax, things like that. Just anything that expands our autonomy and reduces the influence of government in our daily lives, because they're there to support our liberty, not to even shape it. We are an experiment in self-governance, and I feel that that's finally actually manifesting in ways that we really, like I said, it's step by step, and there have been many different faults along the way, mistakes, atrocities, but we're getting closer, I think. And so I think that the administration is taking some really good steps. Some steps I question, but we just have to keep applying the pressure and being the change. We are the people really causing this change, because we know even if this administration doesn't get the pushback that it needs from us, it's going to go the wrong way.
And I know that you're kind of here as media yourself. If people want to hear more from you, do you want to say where they can find you?
Oh, sure, thanks. MichaelAnthony.video, and also NewYawk.com. NUYAWK. New York. I forgot we were live. I feel like we're just doing a. But yeah, thanks for talking. Thanks for always being here. We're always doing these things. We're always working together around each other, but we don't always get to talk to each other. So yeah, it's so important. This is the foundation for everything. Without our health, we have nothing. Thank you.
People filing these cases
are in front of the Pfizer headquarters. Why did you come out to the rally in support of RFK Jr. today?
So I came out today because a few years ago during COVID, I was fired as a nurse for not taking the COVID-19 vaccine, and it opened up my eyes to the whole vaccine industry and everything that's been going on. I started following Bobby Kennedy at that point, and he opened my eyes to a long history of what's been happening with the pharmaceutical companies. And I feel like him in this position is a godsend. And I really love the job that he's doing, and he's doing everything that he said that he was going to do. I really appreciate it.
I didn't hear what you said at the very beginning. Did you? What was your experience with the COVID vaccine?
I was fired for not taking the COVID vaccine. I couldn't work in New York for 2 years as a nurse.
As a nurse.
Yeah, so I had to go into travel nursing, and that's opened my eyes up to the whole vaccine thing. And Bobby Kennedy, I didn't know much about him prior to that. Then I found out about Children's Health Defense, and I started doing some more research, and it opened up my eyes to a lot that's been going on in the healthcare industry.
What is the situation now for people in healthcare, for nurses in the state of New York and in New York City in terms of mandates?
Right. So depending on the hospital you work at, some of them don't even ask. Some of them give an exemption. It's all dependent, I feel, on the hospital right now.
Okay. So the city and state requirements are gone, but there are still individual health systems that are mandating.
Right. I think most of them are turning away. I don't know for sure, but when I look at a job description, some of them will still say COVID-19 vaccine required. So it's right now I feel like it's dependent on the institution.
But you've been able to find enough places that offer work that you can not a problem for you.
Right. Yeah.
Did you have to move out of the state before?
So I did travel nursing for 2 years, and I would come back and forth. I went to Florida and Pennsylvania. Thankfully, they allowed me to work there, and then I came back to work here. But my family stayed here while I did the travel nursing and the back and forth thing for 2 years.
It sounds like a difficult period.
Yes, very. Yes.
In terms of what's happened so far with the RFK Jr. Taking his position, what are the major accomplishments in your eyes that he's made thus far?
I think one is mainly awareness. You know what I mean? Him going into that position and all the opposition that he got is kind of making people like what's going on here. And then like this what they just announced on Monday. I think it's also great to be in Trump's ear and telling him certain things and being a resource for him. And then what the announcement on Monday was like, just I couldn't believe it. It was like, finally we're getting it, saying it out loud. There's research backing it up, real science, and I think that's been like a huge accomplishment. And I'm hoping that they change the vaccine schedule and everything, and that starts coming again. But I think what he's done so far has been great.
Yeah, so that's one of the things you'd like to see in the future. You'd like to see a change to the vaccine schedule.
100%.
Are there other things on your list of things that you'd like to see them accomplish?
Well, also, because my daughter was always big with like clean ingredients and just better food, better water. Like it's crazy. Like I said, prior to all this, I really wasn't aware of all this, and it's really opened up my eyes. And I really, I think the food really needs to improve, and the processed food, the kids, the childhood obesity, and just all of the as a nurse, the chronic conditions, and these kids are sicker. It's crazy, and I think he's really going to help, get on companies to really start producing better food, and I really want to see that as well.
Were you affected in terms of your schooling or any other activities when there were mandates in place here?
Luckily, I was not affected with school. I was in high school at the time. Aside from having to wear a mask for basically 2 years into high school, as far as the vaccines went, I was all right. definitely some activities I feel were a little limited.
Yeah.
It was hard because I
Yeah,
felt
she
like I
couldn't-
couldn't go many places for a little bit in the city because you needed a vaccine to go.
But even in high school, she wasn't able to join any clubs or sports for the
Yeah.
first year
Yeah.
due to the she didn't have the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was she was a starting freshman in high school, and that was a city thing. I don't think it mattered on the school. It was a city
Yeah.
thing. And they implemented it. Couldn't join a club or be in sports. So that was kind of.
I know that a lot of people who had a similar experience, who lost their jobs under the COVID-19 vaccine mandates that we had here in New York City and also the state mandates, have hoped for some kind of action from this administration now that RFK Jr. is part of the administration. They have hoped that there would be, because there are still people who never got their jobs back, who are not able to go back to work, who are still in court with the city, and the city is continuing, even when they win cases against the city, for being fired under that mandate and not having their exemption requests reviewed or approved as appropriate. Even when they win those cases, the city is continuing to appeal them. I know that a lot of those people have hoped for some kind of action or support from the top, from Washington.
Yes.
What are your feelings about that?
Right. Yes. So my heart breaks for the New York City workers, because at least for me, the teachers and the firemen. I was able to go and do travel nursing. I know that wasn't possible for them, and I know there's been so many lives devastated from this. And I really, I think it's been slow moving. I'm sure we would have liked to see it all happen sooner, but I really want the administration to step in and because you're right, they won the court cases, and it's just been delay after delay after delay. It's enough of the delays. I want the administration to step in. Whether it's going to go to the Supreme Court, I don't know, but they need help to have this move in their favor, and just enough. They need their jobs back. They need back pay. I believe 100%. And that, they lost their seniority. It's crazy, and you don't want to go back and be the low man on the totem pole. You want to go back to where your position was, your back pay, your seniority, your status in the union. And I'm hoping it's been slow, and I'm hoping soon it's going to turn for them. But I do. That's one thing I do want to definitely say from this administration, and I know a lot of them supported this administration in hopes of that. And that's one thing that is, I know they have so much going on, but I think that's a really important.
Well, as a final question, is there anything that either of you, people out there who maybe are not very involved with the MAHA movement or don't know much about it, what would you like other New Yorkers and other Americans to know about the Make America Healthy Again movement that you're part of, and and what you'd like to see going forward?
I think the main thing is everyone has to do their own research. Don't rely on the mainstream media. Don't rely on us telling you. You have to go and do your own research. There's so much out there now, and now it's not censored as it was, and that's the main thing. You can't just listen to people. You go and do your own research. The research is there, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah, keep an open mind, and I think that Bobby has our best interests in mind, and we need to remember that. And I hope to see a lot of positivity in the future.
Yeah. I just talk with people, no more of this fighting. The infighting has to stop. We gotta love each other.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. That's what saying on Wednesday. It's cozy as proven. Right. Vindicated.
Oh, yeah. That was so nasty. I know, I was thinking about it.
And it wasn't just that he did.
almost never sit on stage either, unless I'm drunk.
It wasn't just that he did one poll. He did several polls. Lovingly, lovingly coded several polls. Was he hired by a politician?
What are you guys still doing here? For what?
What's still going on? Oh shit! I'm supposed to be at Caesar report.
All right.
I want to go home.
And they show you how they make it, and they give you chocolate at the end, and you dip back on it. That's right. Air conditioning is better. These tabs. They have a rally.
How you doing? All right. Am I in camera?
No,
I'm very sorry. I'm introverted. Yeah, you know, I'm very talkative. But I have that introverted roots from when I was a kid. I was afraid of my own shadow. You know? I remember when I was like 4 years old, my mother would introduce me to some adults. And I would hide behind my mother. And how shy I was, you know. And
Give us another shot.
Like,
That's a good one.
you know?
Yeah. So far, 2024. Give us another shot.
So how's the independent journalism doing?
well, I'm actually going to.
All right. Nice to see you.
You're live. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoops. Did I just lose my? Okay. There we are. Okay, so yes, we are just dispersing here. I think the crowd is kind of dispersing after the rally in support of RFK Jr. We're in front of the Pfizer headquarters. Why did you come out to the rally?
One simple reason, right? RFK and the staff he's put together are taking such pains and such risks, and they're so heroes for trying to do and executing the right thing, which is bringing transparency and real science back to not just vaccines, but the whole pharmaceutical industry. And they're not doing it for money. They're not doing it for board seats. Their careers are over if they're not successful. And the least we can do is say thank you and make sure that he knows there's thousands and millions of people who love the fact that he's willing to do this.
All right. So, why is this important to you? Why is this issue important to you personally?
Well, we had in the family many years ago a vaccine-injured child, and went through the whole series of multi-years trying to figure out what's wrong and where it came from and what were the events that led up to it, and had such hostility from the medical establishment to friends and family. All we're trying to do is ask the question, what's wrong with this family member and how can we help and what to expect. And when you could say anything except you can't you couldn't ask a question, could it have been too many MMR vaccines in too short a period of time? Back then, that was a heretical question that your family members would stop talking to you. I actually called the CDC and I said, could this possibly be anything? Are there any side effects to this? This is, like I said, 25 years ago. And they said, no, there's no side effects. I said, well, there has to be some side effects. And the person who answered could tell that they were reading from a script. They said, no, there are 0 side effects from the MMR vaccine. And I said, well, if you gave 100 million doses of water, you're going to have some side effect, right? That's not a scientific answer. That's a religious answer, right? And that started, at least in my mind, to say, wait a second, what's really happening here? And once you start, have this expression, once you see, you can't unsee, right? And then after years of doing independent research, and we have the pleasure of people that have dedicated their careers to getting the truth out and doing what science they could on the effects of this, not just the vaccines, but the adjuvants of mercury and aluminum and PEG and all the things that people typically have reactions to, that all gets covered up, right? And we hear stories about people trying to get remedy, and they're just horrific stories. And then when they say, oh, well, you're going to be mandated, you can't go to school, you can't go to work, that's just insane. That's not the country that we want. We want a country where you have an informed consent. You have an informed population. If the product makes sense, you'll buy it. If the vaccine makes sense, you'll buy it, right? You'll take it. But it's not even talked about. Some of the laws are the most draconian laws that any society has ever put in place, right? And we just accepted that. And it's time to wake up from that fog of fear that they told us 5 or 6% of the population was going to die in COVID, and it turned out to be, what do you know, a little slightly but worse than a flu. Let's get out of the fear and get back to the reality of the freedom that this country has of having people make decisions for their own bodies, right, and their own family. So what else do you want?
Okay, so let me ask you about the main argument that I think is made against that, which is that people say, well, we'll see if we get rid of all of the mandates, including for children, we'll see a resurgence of diseases, of childhood diseases that are terrible for children.
Right. So peel that back, right? We have 72, in New York, 72 vaccines on the childhood schedule, right? Many of those, almost all of those, are non-sterilizing vaccines. What does that mean? That means that it will not prevent you from either getting or transmitting the disease. Once you don't have that's not a vaccine, that's a therapy. It's your choice. But if you can't stop, then you've lost the moral argument. Now, if you go to a vaccine like in the original chickenpox, where it has a 50%, or the flu, it has a 30%, well, you're not stopping a pandemic in that. Right? There's only very few instances where you could actually make a moral case that it's good for the whole. But the industry has taken that bad math and applied it to every vaccine, and even in fact will just change the definition of a vaccine so that it fits into that category of mandates. Why the mandates? Because obviously it's economically good for them, and also I get permanent immunity once it's on the childhood vaccine schedule, right? So now you see this ramp up and this interest in vaccines for, quote, vaccines for everything, for non-deadly childhood
illnesses. For people who don't know what you're referring to when you're talking about immunity, can you explain what you're talking about?
Sure.
You're talking about legal. We're talking about legal.
Legal.
Right? Is that what you mean?
That's what I mean. That's right. When I talked about the companies. In 1986, we signed, under the Reagan administration, they signed into law a protection scheme for the pharmaceutical industry where all the product liability that they would be exposed to from a faulty product in vaccines gets absorbed by the federal government, right? So all of a sudden the pharmaceutical industries who were claiming that they would go out of business if they didn't have this protection, that turned the vaccine into one of the most profitable arms because they could reduce the testing, they could shorten the time to market without worrying about missing something. And you hear this in even the language that they talk about it. They talk about vaccines as we'll know as soon as we release it, then we'll see what the results of the vaccine are. Well, that's backward science. That's not, but it's a lot more economical. So that protection of immunity is all keyed on it being on the childhood vaccination schedule, right? So there's this relentless pressure. Kids now 4 years old, 3 years old, have to be vaccinated in New York City to go to school from the flu, right? Kids never had flu vaccines for your kid because the flu is not a dangerous disease for a child, right? It's not a sterilizing vaccine, so you're not protecting grandma, right? So the whole house of cards of why you need so many vaccines, that's not, everybody wants a good vaccine. They want a safe, effective, real vaccine that doesn't have side effects and actually works. But we're now in this world because of the protections and the money. Look at the COVID vaccine. There's solid math on both sides that it actually didn't save anybody net. Like if you net it out, and the harms certainly outweighed the benefits, right? But we don't even talk about that, right? And that all rests on this product liability immunity to be on the childhood vaccine schedule. Right? That's got to end, right? Parents know their kids the best. How many stories we hear about people couldn't go to school, they didn't want to take the vaccine, but they had to, or they had a prior reaction out of an earlier dose, and they had to take it again, even when the doctor's saying, no, you shouldn't take it because you have an adverse reaction, right? The school, in some cases, has the right to override the healthcare worker at the school or the city. That's insane, right, to me.
Okay, so you'd like to see that happen. You'd like to see that legal immunity for the manufacturers removed. What else would you like to see from?
Well, I think mandates have to go. Mandates, there is, like I said, the burden of proof should be on the manufacturer to make a case for any mandate, and that's got to be obviously safe and effective, much better than we do now. It's an actual sterilizing vaccine against a deadly disease, and that they accept the liability, right? That you could make. But if it's not a deadly disease, and you don't have a sterilizing vaccine, and it's not 100% effective or 98% effective, you have no moral case. So all mandates lose their moral compass when you're telling somebody what to do. We don't accept it in any other form of life, right? But we accept this all because of this original lie that you're protecting the herd, right? That might be true in smallpox. You'd have to really dig into some of the numbers, but it's certainly not true on almost all the vaccines that are pumped out, right? And why we're here thanking Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is he's the one guy who came along and said, you know what, we're going to look at the science here. We're going to look at the math. We're going to look at the data, right? And give some transparency to it.
Were you yourself affected by the mandates that we had here in New York City for the COVID-19 vaccine?
Well, not from a job point of view, but I think everybody was affected. I was affected when I walked into a restaurant and was told no. I did not get a passport. I think that is so unholy. I'm going to walk around with a passport to prove what medicines I've taken. I don't. So I refused to do that. So there were instances where I couldn't go places. You couldn't do this without a proof of the vaccine. But I think to me this is a red line for people. People have to stand up for it. If you don't stand up for this, right? What are you standing up for? If they can lock you out of a place, if they can tell you what you can't do, if they can tell you where you can't go, if they can tell you can or can't work, because you didn't X something, and that turns out that thing was actually potentially harmful and didn't actually live up to what we said it was going to do. Well, if you're willing to accept that, you're probably willing to accept almost anything, right? So I think this is a red line in this red line issue, right? So. Any other questions?
As a final word,
sure.
What do you think for people who don't know much about the MAHA movement, who are maybe just hearing about this stuff from you for the first time? Right. What do you want them to know about this? Because it is a grassroots movement.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And what what I would say to everybody who doesn't know about Maha, stop listening to what any publication, including me, don't listen to me what I say. Don't listen to the New York Times. Don't listen to MSNBC, because they will convince you, like they've convinced everybody, including myself, that, oh, RFK is just part of this radical anti-vax fringe of crazies. No, just stop listening to it. Just ask yourself the question, does this make sense? And ask yourself the question, is this what I want to put in my body as food or medicine, or I want to make for my family in food or medicine? Just ask yourself that. And ask yourself the fundamental question, who benefits when I do this action, right? If I take this drug instead of this remedy, who's the real winner? Is that actually better for me? And the beauty of what we have now is all of this stuff is so easy. When 25 years ago, trying to get information was nearly impossible, but now it's all available. It's all out in the open. It's all on the net. There's people who have studied everything. So just do a little more homework, right? And that's what I love about the Maha movement. It's just grassroots of people who have done some homework for themselves, primarily. And then once you do that, then you want to share it, right? So you see this coalition of people coming together and saying, hey, we stopped listening to the Madison Avenue and the mainstream marketing machines, and we started talking to each other again about what works, right? And what kind of food we should eat. And, do pesticides matter? Well, yeah, pesticides matter. So I'm just rambling, obviously, but the Maha movement captured this untapped feeling in all across the country of people. This way we're doing it of processed food and big industrial medicine and industrial pharmaceuticals is not working for us. We're not better off for it, right? So there's got to be a better way, right? And when you peel back the onion about, well, how did it get here? Then you realize, okay, you have this NIH-funded system that sucks all the dollars into pharma. There's no research into any other avenue except of a new patentable pharma. Okay, so here's something. Well, why don't we just change the patent rules, right? To provide incentive for people to provide natural alternatives, to test and research and clinically evaluate alternative research that may not have these side effects. That should be just as profitable for Pfizer as anything else they do. But we've created this system where the only way they make money is to crowd out any other therapy and get the one that they can have a patent on and charge a lot of money. I'm not opposed to them making money. I want to provide the incentive for them to try to figure out how I could take vitamin D, for example, if that's safe. They should be able to make good money on selling me safe, American-made, U.S. pharmaceutical grade vitamin D that I could just buy and not worry about, is this some clone or some heavy metal place from overseas that doesn't care just because it had to compete at the cheapest rate, and you have to do your own research to do your own vitamin D, right? That should be a profitable arm for an American company, and we can have that. I think that's what the Maha movement is doing, is crystallizing every one of the 1,000 ideas of that go against the main way that pharmaceutical companies and medicine want you to behave, and start to bring that to light and make it available, make it educational. Because there's always a balance between regulation and not wanting people to be caught up in snake oil, right? And whipsaw it on every solution to the most heinous diseases that somebody's had put on a YouTube short, no offense, right? We shouldn't be wanting to get our medicine and our medical advice from YouTube. There's got to be a better way. And one of the ways is to incent the people the bioscience researchers, to start taking a more holistic view of what constitutes good medicine, and not just this expensive, patentable, exclusive drug that I can then market and sell, right? That's a bad business model. It's a bad business. It's maybe good for the pharmaceutical company, but it's a terrible business model for the country, right? So we have to rethink like what we're actually paying, and then you find out that, oh, these guys, their R&D, not just Pfizer, the whole pharmaceutical industry is getting all their research and development are borne by the taxpayers, right? Well, did the taxpayers say that the only solution I want for an ailment is a expensive, potentially harmful drug? Or does the taxpayer want the research to go to what's the best answer to prevent me from getting sick and to help me if I do, right? It's a different view of the world, and we have to help these companies get in line with changing a different worldview, right? Like what do they say? The average American over 65 has 12 pills a day, right? Nobody even researches the interaction of those 12 pills. Never mind the overall chronic solution, right? But it clearly doesn't make any sense that chronic diseases, and what you see the industry just want to do is march people to chronic diseases earlier in their life. Oh, we should have kids on statins. You actually hear that marketing pitch come out now. We should be putting kids on statins. Are you in line? Your 4-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old is going to be on statin because somebody's decided to rejigger what good or bad cholesterol levels are, right? That's not a root cause science. That's marketing science, right? So if high cholesterol is so bad, well, why aren't we researching deeply? Well, what causes a body to be out of balance on its cholesterol level? Because all your cholesterol is made. Why are we not spending all the dollars figuring out if you're at an extremely elevated cholesterol levels and that's dangerous? To me, that's a big if. But if that were, why aren't we researching all the money to say, how do I get you back in balance? No, all the money goes to the next version of a statin drug, right? And they leave it up to you to figure out the quote side effects, right? That's an insane model. The model's got to change, right? So that's why we're here. It's doing it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much for talking with me.
Right. Sorry, you asked a question.
That was great. Sure, show me your sign again.
I'm here for the mother to be's.
Okay.
I'm just
here for the
it's
mother-
very simple. I'm
Yeah.
I'm here for the mothers to be to do your research and not just listen to your pediatrician. That's why I'm here.
See, that's more powerful than my diatribe for it. Right? Yeah. Mothers have a burden.